Full name: Horst Nußbaum, stage name Jack White. Born 2 September 1940 inches, Cologne, Germany. Died on or before 16 October 2025. His body was discovered that morning. Age at death: 85 years. Place of death: Berlin, Germany, in his apartment in Berlin-Grunewald. Circumstances: investigation. His lifeless body was found in his Berlin apartment. The police have opened a death investigation. Todesermittlungsverfahren. There are no indications of foul play, no evidence of a crime at this point. Early reports suggest that suicide is one hypothesis being considered by investigators. In the world of music, few names are as layered and complex as Jack White. Not the American rock star you might think of, but the German Jack White, born Horst Nußbaum. A man who lived two lives, one on the football field and one behind the recording studio's glass. He was a gifted athlete, a chart-topping music producer, a millionaire who built an empire from melody and rhythm. But behind the spotlight, there was a quiet sadness and a mystery that would only deepen in his final days. This is the untold story of Jack White, from football to fame, and finally to tragedy. Jack White was born Horst Nußbaum on September 2nd, 1940, in Cologne, Germany, in the shadow of World War II. Germany was still reeling from destruction, and young Horst grew up in a country trying to rebuild. His parents encouraged discipline and hard work. Football, or Fußball, as it's called in Germany, quickly became his escape. As a teenager, he showed incredible athleticism. Local scouts noticed his quick thinking, his coordination, and his leadership on the field. By the late 1952s, Horst had become a rising football talent in Cologne, playing semi-professionally and dreaming of making it big. In 1961, Horst Nußbaum began his professional football career with FC Viktoria Köln, a respected club in West Germany. He was versatile, playing as a midfielder and sometimes as a right defender. His energy, passing accuracy, and tactical intelligence earned him respect. He later joined clubs such as FK Pirmasens, TSC Zweibrücken, and even made his mark abroad with PSV Eindhoven in the Netherlands. At a time when football was more about grit than glamour, Horst played for the love of the game, not for fame. But even as he lived the dream of many young Germans, there was something else calling him, a deeper creative spark that couldn't be ignored. While still playing football, Horst developed a fascination with music. He loved melody, rhythm, and harmony, and in his free time, he began composing songs. In 1965, he made a bold decision. He left football, a stable and promising career, to pursue the uncertain world of music. He reinvented himself completely. Horst Nußbaum became Jack White, a name that sounded international, confident, and catchy. Jack began performing and producing pop music in Germany during the late 1960s. At first, success came slowly. But his determination, the same discipline he learned in sports, began to pay off. By the 1970s and 1980s, Jack White was no longer just a name, he was a brand. He produced hit songs for artists across Europe and the United States. Some of his most famous productions included Looking for Freedom, made famous by David Hasselhoff, which became an anthem in Germany during the fall of the Berlin Wall. Songs for Laura Branigan, Tony Holiday, Howard Carpendale, and many more. He also founded several successful record labels, including Jack White Productions and White Records. Jack became known for his perfectionism, long studio sessions, endless takes and an ear for catchy melodies. By the mid-1980s, his music had reached international charts. He was living in luxury, driving elegant cars, attending elite galas, and owning properties in Berlin, Munich, and the Balearic Islands. At the peak of his career, Jack White's estimated net worth reached over $50 million USD, a fortune built from decades of royalties, record deals, and publishing rights. His label was one of Germany's most profitable independent companies. He owned luxury apartments, a classic car collection, and was often seen vacationing in southern Europe. He lived a quiet but comfortable life, preferring business meetings and studio work to parties or fame. Yet, those who knew him said Jack never fully enjoyed his wealth. He was driven, focused, but also deeply private, sometimes melancholic, and nostalgic for his youth as an athlete. Jack White was married twice. His first marriage brought him 2 daughters, one of whom, Gloria Nußbaum, would later work in television production. His second marriage, to Marie-Louise White, also ended in divorce. Though he had relationships over the years, Jack preferred to keep his personal life away from the press. He was known to be kind, but reserved, often spending long hours alone, writing or composing at his piano in Berlin. Friends described him as a perfectionist with a gentle heart, someone who gave everything to his art, but struggled to connect emotionally outside of it. Jack White's music helped define an era of German pop. Looking for Freedom became more than a hit, it became a symbol. When the Berlin Wall fell in 1989, David Hasselhoff sang that song on New Year's Eve, and millions of Germans sang along, believing in hope, unity, and freedom. Behind that anthem stood Jack White, a man who knew how to blend pop with emotion, who could turn simple lyrics into history. He would go on to produce over 400 albums and 2,000 songs, earning multiple gold and platinum records across Europe. His influence extended beyond Germany, inspiring producers and musicians worldwide. In his later years, Jack White became more reclusive. He retired from most public appearances and focused on his personal projects. He lived quietly in his Berlin Grunewald apartment, surrounded by memories of his past, gold records on the walls, and a grand piano by the window. But as time passed, friends noticed he grew lonelier. His health began to decline, and his circle of contacts grew smaller. Then, in October 2025, the world received tragic news. Jack White Horst Nußbaum had been found dead in his Berlin home. He was 85 years old. Reports said his body was discovered on or before the 16th of October 2025. The police opened an investigation but found no signs of foul play. Some suggested natural causes. Others whispered it may have been suicide. The truth remains unclear. What is clear is that a chapter of German pop culture had quietly closed. Jack White's journey was extraordinary, from a football field in post-war Cologne to producing songs that united a nation. He showed the world that reinvention is possible, that even after one dream ends, another can begin if you have courage and creativity. He was an athlete. He was a producer. He was a storyteller through sound, and though his life ended quietly, his music still plays, echoing through radio waves, movie scenes, and memories of a generation. Jack White, born Horst Nußbaum, a man who lived for rhythm and who left behind harmony. May his music and his story live forever. That's it for today's video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe with the bell icon.